Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel for a very special video today that I'm doing celebrating the 20-year anniversary of an album which I still enjoy to this day as much as I did when I first heard it, which for an album which came out in that era back in 2002 on the 21st of May. For an album which came out about then, it's quite unusual for I was listening to a lot of new metal albums in that era, so for me it's a little bit unusual for me to enjoy an album as much now as I did back then. Now, if you haven't already worked out the album I'm about to be talking about, I'm going to give you a big clue on my guitar. Of course, I don't usually get my guitar out for videos. This is mostly a review channel, but I just thought it would be a little bit of fun to do this for this particular video. So I'm going to play 3 chords, and let's see if you can guess what the album is. Well, you probably guess what the song is, perhaps, from this album. So here we go. So you should be singing along the chorus of My Last Serenade to that song, because of course that is My Last Serenade from the album Alive or Just Breathing, which came out on Roadrunner Records on the 21st of May 2002. And it's 12 tracks, 45 minutes in length, and pretty much front to back, really potent, heavy hitting, I guess metalcore album as it gets called. But for me, even though this is seen as kind of spawning a lot of other metalcore bands and metalcore albums to come in the 2000s, there's something more about this album than I think just an average kind of a metalcore album. I hear a lot of melodic death metal influence in Alive or Just Breathing, and perhaps one of the reasons I love it so much is for precisely that reason. I mean, I can hear the thrashiness, the thrashy guitar riffs of 1990s era In Flames. You listen to Horacle, and you listen to a lot of the guitar riffs in Horacle, and I kind of, now listening to this, and I didn't discover In Flames till after Killswitch and bands like that, At the Gates and Soilwork, but now listening to this now, I think, yeah, there's definitely an influence of Melodeath, isn't there? And I was trying to find out whether, they were influenced by melodic death, and it seems that Killswitch were indeed influenced by a lot of that Scandinavian Melodeath stuff that was coming out in the 1990s. And I think they combined that with just that sort of really kind of catchy infectiousness of a lot of metal that was popular at that time as well, but they kind of all put it together into good, well-crafted songs. None of these songs overstay their welcome. They're just super snappy, super impacting, and as I say, there's a real potency to them on this album, pretty much front to back. Something really interesting about Alive or Just Breathing, I think, is that it was produced by Adam Dutkovich. It was mixed as well by Andy Sneap, I believe, in the UK, in Derbyshire, as the kind of final touches, if I've understood correctly from my sources. But I really like his production. I think it's fantastic, and one of the strengths, it's a great album, but something which stands out now for me listening to it, say today, is that the production and mixing is fantastic. The guitar tones are all really clear. Everything is up front. Something I don't like about a lot of metal albums, sometimes in more recent times, is they feel a bit overproduced. And by that, I mean everything sort of is so polished that the natural kind of sound of the instruments can feel a bit taken away by all the digital touches that have been made in the mixing and all the rest of it. But with this album, it still hits hard, and it still has that freshness, I think, that potency, because the production is so good. So that's the kind of point I wanted to make about the genre. I actually don't really think the genre label matters that much in the grand scheme of things with this album. I think it kind of had a freshness at the time, a uniqueness that's hard to find with as I say, with metal albums of that era in particular. So who do we have in the lineup for? I was going to talk about that at the beginning actually, but I never did. But in the lineup of Alive or Just Breathing, we have, of course, Jesse Leach on vocals, Joel Stroetzel on lead guitar, Mike D'Antonio on the bass, and Adam Dutkovich doing guitars and drums on this album as well. I think that for the actual recording of the album, I think he did the drums. You have backing vocals as well from Dutkovich's sister Becca, and also All That Remains singer Philip Labonte did some vocals on this as well to back it up. So I think it's really kind of, Another great thing about this as well are the melodic elements. So it's not just, it's not heavy, and well, it's heavy most of the way through, to be honest, but you have some really great moments that break up and give you almost a breath of fresh air. And I'm somebody that really likes a bit of melody in their music, and I think a track like The Element of One is a really good demonstration of how Killswitch have combined a lot of really good melody with the heavier riffs and the breakdowns that you get. One of my favourite parts of this album is actually the introduction to a song called The Element of One, and it goes a bit like this. I think, I'm not sure I've got the strumming pattern quite right actually, but it goes a bit like this, I think. It's just a really, really nice, it just offers a bit of a break from the really heavy kind of, big blasting guitars and drums. And, on that particular song, they go into this gorgeous bridge section, and it's just fantastic. Other favourite tracks on this album, on for me, a classic metal album for me now, looking back, you've got Self-Revolution, My Last Serenade, obviously the big single from that, and I remember seeing that on Kerrang, and it put such a big smile on my face. At age 17, I'm pretty sure I hadn't heard much like this yet. I was familiar with new metal and everything, but this in particular, it just sounded kind of authentic. I hadn't heard a lot like it, and that sort of the really heavy thrashiness of it, and the harsh vocals and the clean vocals being used alternately, was just something that was pretty new to me at this point in my life, I think. And as a 17-year-old, it just really made its mark. You can be kind of, at age 17, you can be kind of frustrated with things, can't you? Frustrated, and this was just like perfect for that time. But it still feels great to hear it, as I say now, as a 37-year-old, 20 years on. It's just that kind of an album. There's a couple of other, there's a few really fantastic standout tracks on this album. Otherwise, what would I be talking about, I guess? But Fixation on the Darkness, Temple from the Within has a fantastic kind of bass guitar interlude in it, which then goes in this really big groove, and there's so much heft in that track. It's just fantastic as well. And it is a wonderful album. I like the artwork actually, just as another note really on the front there of the CD I've got here. I suppose it's not necessarily kind of standard metal artwork with a face on, with kind of being streaks of various things there going across it, but yeah, as I say, just an album I just wanted to kind of celebrate 20 years since it came out. And I do hope that there are others of you, maybe my subscribers or viewers of the channel, that like this album as much as I do. Maybe you're my generation, maybe you're not my generation, but hopefully you can sort of you have those albums that listen to when you're growing up and you never forget them. And even though this album came out at a time when there was a sea of a lot of kind of pretty cringeworthy, not necessarily mediocre, but albums which were all sounding pretty similar, to have this thing come out, if you're one of those people that grew up with it, you'll never forget it. And at least, I'll never forget it. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching this video. Do appreciate it. If you're liking, subscribing, commenting, all that stuff as well. I have had a period recently where I've not been very well, so I haven't been putting up very many videos, but really wanted to do this one. I'm actually a couple of weeks early, strictly speaking, putting this up, because the anniversary is not until the 21st of May, but oh well, never mind. Anyway, everybody, take care very much, and see you next time. Bye for now.